You know, one thing that's really pretty critical with any type of topwater is the cadence of the retrieve. The bait automatically goes into that walking the dog maneuver. This is with the Skitter V. I get them 2 at a time.
Oh, God.
You know, no question about it, when it comes to catching bass, topwater fishing is about as fun as it gets.
Closed captioning is provided by Smooth Moves, adjustable boat seat suspensions for a smoother ride.
There's one. Oh, it didn't take too long. Go. Ooh. Now you're talking. One of my absolute favorite activities. Nick, get the net. That's a nice smallmouth. Look at that, he's got a buddy with him too, Nick. There you go. Here, just leave him up there. There you go. Come here, we'll get him out of there. Beautiful fish. Just slurp that popper. Right now, Nick and I, my son, are going to look at some strategies for catching smallmouth bass, any bass for that matter, on topwater. Topwater is a fabulously effective technique for catching smallmouth bass all summer long. We'll get her back in the water. You know, right now it's midsummer. The water's 72 degrees. We're on Mille Lacs Lake in central Minnesota. We got the right conditions, a little cloud, it's an overcast, humidity in the air. You're talking prime time smallmouth bass fishing. Yeah, you know. Fat little guy. I'd like to see him when he gets 21 inches. Another little fatso. Oh gosh. See him?
Yeah.
Got him that time.
Just let Dad catch him.
Sipper. See that? How he came up next to, had him boil up on that
Skitter V.
The Skitter V, and I threw back and fished a popper really, really slow. Oh, look at this guy here, a little
greeny.
Green one. Not a bad one. Come here, buddy. Come
That's
here.
a pretty good one.
You know, one thing that's really pretty critical with any type of topwater is the cadence of the retrieve and the speed of it. You know, with poppers, one thing that's nice with a popper is you can have a big attracting maneuver and then let the bait sit there for a pretty extended period of time. With a jump bait like Nick has, generally you have this really smooth cadence like that has a really big triggering effect on the fish. But one of the biggest things is to experiment with the speed and the cadence of your retrieve. You should get one right there. Dunk. There you got him.
You called it. Whoa.
You know, one of the most critical aspects of fish is edges. And when you look at the surface of the lake, it's one of the largest edges that exists. And this edge, when you're fishing for bass, is in shallow water. Right now we're fishing up along some bulrushes that have some extended rocks out in front of it. But this is true if I go out into deeper water areas too. You still have that surface and a very, very distinct edge that bass feed against. Ooh, whoa. Oh, he's got another one with him. Whoa, whoa, wow, what a whistler. Come here, buddy. Look at that little fatso again. We got a little bit going. The interesting thing is right now, you know, it's midsummer, and the smallmouths right now can be anywhere. It's sort of interesting because we have the fish in the back ends of these bays, and you can see we have bulrushes, and what this actually is there's actually hard bottom rock and then weeds out here, but there is still rock. A lot of times when you initially look at it, it looks like we're targeting the edge of a bulrush bed, but really what we're actually targeting is there's rocks in the bottom in here, which is really critical for smallmouths. When targeting smallmouths, there are 4 different styles of topwater lures to consider. You got prop baits, you have poppers, you have jump baits, and you have wake baits. All of these baits can be worked around cover or in open water, whether you're on a lake, river, or reservoir. But there are some little things that we've noticed over the years about each individual style of lure. Let's start with prop baits. This family of lures has a tendency to work better in choppy to wavy water when some of the other topwater lures just don't perform. This has huge merit because most of the time it's not glass calm and sunny. Next is poppers. These baits are probably the most versatile in relation to overall speed. You can work them very, very slow or very fast. The sound of the bait popping also sounds just like feeding bass, which is a great long-distance attractor. Now we are on to jump baits. The one thing about this style of lure, you need it to be relatively calm to see its full effectiveness. That's why early in the morning and late in the evening are good times to cast these lures. Finally, the wake bait. This style of lure has a ton of great attributes. Look at this Rapala BX wake bait. It is counterweighted to give a big, slow rolling action. When this bait is moving on the top, the reflection off the surface acts like a mirror that gives you almost a schooling image. Are you ready for the best attribute of all? Big fish love it, and it's a great hooking bait. All you have to do is control your emotions a little, and you'll hook every one of them.
This segment is brought to you by Big Bite Baits, designed to bring the big bite to your line.
You know, one thing when you look at right now, we're fishing for smallmouth bass, and everybody thinks rocks, rocks, and more rocks. And realistically, smallmouth bass like weeds, but the biggest thing is hard bottom. And you can see I just came across a big cabbage patch, and then I have this hard bottom, and that's hard bottom patches, and there's little rises up on these flats, and that's what we're targeting. We're trying to get our topwater baits over the tops of those hard bottom spots. New spot.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. There's a real sporty one. Oh.
I think that's a netter.
Yep. Oh. These boys really pull. You know, one thing you look at topwater fishing, what's really critical is the rod, reel, and line. You know, to not only to cast the bait, to fish the bait, to set the hook and land the bait, the rod is really critical. Here we go. Can you get that guy out of there? Here, we're gonna have to need some work here. Let's get this down in here. Yeah, not a real whopper, but a nice one. Real leaper. We'll get her back in the water. Come here, buddy. Come here. There we go. As I was saying, rod, reel, and line is really critical for topwater fishing. My weapon of choice here is a St. Croix 610 Legend Elite rod. When you look at this rod, this is a medium power, fast action. It's sort of softer thing. The biggest thing is the reel too. I got a HD Zillion spooled with 14-pound test Suffix Elite line. Monofilament is really critical. I like mono versus fluorocarbon or braid in this application. This is a really cool reel. It's an amazing reel that casts. It's got this T-wing system for making long casts, sort of a mag brake system. It's got a fabulous carbon drag. It's just a really high-end reel for this application. There we go. Whoa.
Oh yeah.
I like the way he's hooked, right on the tail hook. It goes to show you, you can see how that,
Yeah.
just sipping on him. There's one. Oh.
Ooh, that's the right size.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Oh, look.
Almost went for the tail net there.
Look at that.
Came off
there you
in the
go.
net. Wow.
Interesting right now that the fish are really sort of tentative. They're liking topwater baits, but the thing is it almost seems like you actually have to let the bait sit there for a longer period of time to trigger strikes. You know, we've been experimenting with a wide variety of different baits. We've had prop baits on, we've actually had jump baits or the Skitter V. And we've actually had some of those fish, but they're so really tentative, it seems like the popper is one of the better baits in the fact that you can let it sit there for a longer period of time. The beginning of the retrieve, a lot of times what I'm gonna do is hold my rod up high, like this, and give it a really distinct ba-boom, ba-boom. There's a wide variety of different ways to fish this bait. A lot of guys that, you fish on shad-based lakes, like in Mid-South reservoirs, and a lot of times they're gonna fish the bait like this. Never stop the bait. You're constantly skittering the bait on the surface and it's going pop, 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 pop. Really a sort of a quick retreat like this. You'll notice as I'm up high and about halfway back, I'm gonna drop the rod tip low and fish it in a little bit farther. And after I'm 15, 20 feet away from the boat, pick up and make another cast again. Electronics is absolutely amazing technology. And let me show you something here, the way we're fishing right now to catch these smallmouths on topwater. But one thing that's really important, I apply the same sort of layout on my depth finder, whether I'm fishing jigs on the bottom, particularly when I'm fishing over rock structures like this. I actually have my map. I'm in about 5 foot of water, and then I have side imagery, and I have it set at about 60 feet right now, so I can see to the side of the boat 60 feet. I have a side imaging transducer on the side of my boat, and you can see what this is. This is a very large boulder, and then I have a smaller rock pile here, so I can actually position my cast based on what I'm seeing on the side imagery. It's amazing at certain points in times when the fish are really holding tight on the cover, I'll flip it up to right to where that isolated boulder pile is there, and you'll catch a fish. Boat control is a critical aspect of fishing, no matter what species of fish you fish for. In the bass fishing world over the years, cable drive steering has really been the preferred trolling motor. The reason being, a lot of times they're fishing tight around cover, very, very exact a position where they want to position their lure, whether it be fishing a deep weed edge or along a bulrush edge, fishing isolated cover, fishing a shoreline. This trolling motor, the Ultrex, is the newest generation of a cable drive, but it's an electric steer cable drive. And it has some just incredibly unique features that it's going to be revolutionary to the bass fishing world. I guarantee you that.
The first feature of the Ultrex I'd like to focus on is spot lock, the electric anchor. I use this feature in a wide range of fishing situations. For example, as soon as I hook a fish, I immediately hit the spot lock button on the foot control. This simply locks the boat in its current position as I fight, land, unhook, and release the fish, no matter what the wind or current is. It's absolutely amazing for drop shotting, cranking, jig fishing, or any situation where you want to hold the boat in a fixed position and make repetitive casts to a specific area. There's an additional jog feature on the remote control to fine-tune the boat position by 5-foot increments if need be. When you want to start moving again, simply step on the foot control and spot lock automatically disengages. The second feature I use a lot is the autopilot button. Autopilot tracks the boat on a specific compass bearing at whatever speed you want the boat to be moving at. It's a great feature that I use a lot when I'm fan casting over large areas, like what we're doing today casting topwater baits. To make a directional change, simply step on the foot control to set up a new compass bearing. Again, the trolling motor keeps tracking in a straight line no matter what the wind or current conditions are. The Ultrex trolling motor has a lot more amazing features for extreme boat control associated to its integrated iPilot and iPilot Link capabilities.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
A little bit better one. Come here, buddy.
Better?
Nope, nope. Oh, look at this. How do you like this? How good this is with the Skitter V. I get them 2 at a time.
Oh, gosh.
What do you think about that? Can we get both of them in the same scoop? Look at that. That's sort of cool.
Legal in Minnesota.
Yeah. That's sort of interesting. Now, the only problem is getting them off. Here, let's lay them down on the ground here and see what that's all about. Oh, there, we got one off. Yep, Nick, you want to handle him?
Absolutely.
Yeah, please. Well, look at that. It goes to show you how these fish, whenever you catch smallmouths, are always with their buddies. And that one there, when I set the hook on one, The other one immediately came up. This guy here, they were not big ones, but they caught the same two fish on the same bait. Look at
Nice.
that. We'll get them back here. You can handle both of them.
Double fisting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, that was sort of an interesting little activity, 2 at a time. This bait here is a bait called the Skitter V by Rapala, but one thing that's really interesting about this bait, that what makes this different than other jump or walking the dog baits, is its belly configuration. You'll notice it has more of a V, really narrow V contour. What that enables you to do is hook fish better, in the fact that it has a little bit narrower diameter. The other thing, one of the most important thing, is how the bait runs. And let me show you what I mean by that. Generally, this bait is fished with a technique that's called walking the dog, but when you throw it out and you get into a cadence of reel, just slapping the rod tip with a low motion to it, and then you're simultaneously reeling the bait. But you'll notice one thing, when I kill the bait, as soon as I give it the next pop, and it immediately kicks into that walking the dog maneuver. It's really easy to impart that action into that bait, and that's what that V design into this bait is. And you can see how I'm reeling. I'm giving the rod a pop and then the next reel, rod a pop, next reel. And so you're constantly sort of reeling around the rod. As I'm popping the rod, then I reel, pop the rod, reel. The other thing, that with this particular bait, it's actually a little bit of a smaller profile bait. You know, it's got 2 black nickel hooks on it. It's a little bit smaller in length. A lot of these jump style baits are actually larger than this lure. And you'll notice one thing you'll think about is color. We're actually in a really clear water lake, and most people, when you're fishing really clear water, what color baits do you use? You use natural colored baits. When you're fishing for smallmouth bass, bright is key.
You know, the bait I got on right now is actually a prop style type bait. This specific one is the X prop. A couple situations where I like to use the prop bait when you're fishing over deeper water, or when you're fishing when there's chop. The reason why I like to use it in those situations is because the way you fish the bait, you're actually ripping it down subsurface, and it creates a lot of commotion, a lot of bubbles. And you know, I think that actually does a great job of pulling fish away in situations like that.
The Edge is presented by these and other fine sponsors.
Oop, there's a big one. Oh, there you go. Oh, look at this. Look at the one he's got with him. Look at that. It seems like these fish are getting a lot more active. There you go. Oh, look at that. He's just spitting up craws again. I like that when you have to have the players on deck all the time. Ooh, there we go.
Nice. The end of a nice long pause.
Another little fetzo. Oh, there's a better one. Oh. Nick, can you get the net for this little rascal?
That I can do.
Oh, buddy, come here. Oh, come here, buddy. Come on, easy, easy. This is where that soft rod, the soft action rod's really critical. You get a big boy on, and you get these brown dogs, and they never give up. Oh, come here, buddy, come here, come here. Oh, come on. There you go. Now you're talking. Can't beat that. He came out in the net. You know, no question about it. When it comes to catching bass, topwater fishing is about as fun as it gets.
You know, today there's more young people in this world that have needs than I think ever before.
Yep.
I mean, you see issues every day in the newspaper or on the evening news that just get your attention. And there's a lot of organizations that are doing things to help these children in needs. One thing that came into my mind is, in my hometown of Brainerd, we have an annual Fishing to End Hunger tournament. And the idea is to help kids against hunger. It's just hard for me to comprehend that there's kids all around us in our hometown in Brainerd here that are actually starving.
Yeah.
And my nephew Dan has got a real heart for young people. Kids have been a blessing to him. He and his wife had a bit of a challenging time having the two blessings that you have today.
Yep.
And he's got a real heart for young kids. And he wanted to share something with you and I.
Yeah, so my wife and I have 2 kids, and collectively we have over 50 cousins, nieces, nephews, on and on and on down the line. And needless to say, Christmas is pretty hectic. And the other day I was walking out of a big box retailer, and I noticed this wall, and there was a whole wall full of missing kids. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, where are these kids at? And I couldn't imagine what the families are feeling, not knowing where these kids are at, just having 2 of my own. And about at the same time as when the Jacob Wetterling story re-broke again, and they've tracked that animal down. And then there was another girl that was abducted and sad to say murdered. I mean, realistically, in our own backyard. I mean, I was angry, I was confused, I was mad, I wanted to tear my hair out of my head. And so I just wanted to encourage people to vote right, to keep these animals off the street and keep them in check, and do anything you can to support, like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Go look online and figure out what you can do. And we all collectively have to be watching everybody else's back and watching your kids. You watch my kids, I'll watch your kids, and everybody keep a keen eye out so we can protect, this God's greatest blessing is our kids. That's the bottom line, and we just need to be watching out for them and nurture them and love them.
Thanks, Dano.
Yeah.
I think we can all relate to that in some way, shape, or form. Hey, from all of us here at The Edge, you have a good, safe fishing season. We'll see you on the water.